Join me as I take on the challenge of identifying if I'm trapped by the sunk cost fallacy in my own life and see if I can break free. The sunk cost fallacy is a fascinating concept that reveals how our minds can deceive us into making poor decisions. It's the tendency to continue investing in something that isn't working simply because of what has already been invested. Whether it's a relationship, a business venture, or a financial investment, we've all been guilty of throwing good money after bad at some point or another. Have you ever stayed in a toxic relationship just because of the time and effort you've already invested? Or maybe you've held onto a stock that's continuously declining in value because you're convinced it'll eventually bounce back? That's the sunk cost fallacy at work. We see it in business decisions, where companies continue to pour resources into a failing project because of the money they've already sunk into it. We see it in our personal lives, where we hold on to possessions or habits that no longer serve us simply because of the emotional attachment we have to them. The sunk cost fallacy can be incredibly damaging because it clouds our judgment and leads us to make decisions based on past investments rather than future potential. It's a trap that's easy to fall into, especially when emotions and social pressures are involved. We might feel a sense of obligation to see things through, or we might fear what others will think if we abandon a project or relationship. But the reality is, every moment we spend holding on to something that's not working is a moment we're taking away from something that could be truly fulfilling. The sunk cost fallacy is often driven by emotions like loss aversion, which is the tendency to fear losses more than we value gains. This fear of loss can be overwhelming, leading us to make irrational decisions in an attempt to avoid it. We might also feel a sense of pride or ego attachment to our investments, making it difficult for us to admit defeat and walk away. Societal pressures can also play a role, as we might feel like we need to prove ourselves or justify our decisions to others. Take, for example, the story of a friend who invested in a failing startup. Despite the company's poor performance, my friend continued to pour in more money, convinced that it would eventually turn around. But the truth was, they were more motivated by the fear of losing their initial investment than any actual potential for growth. It took a hard reality check for them to finally cut their losses and move on. I've been guilty of the sunk cost fallacy myself, and it wasn't until I took a step back and evaluated my decisions based on future potential rather than past investments that I was able to break free. Recognizing and overcoming the sunk cost fallacy can be incredibly liberating, and it's often the key to unlocking new opportunities and growth. The sunk cost fallacy is a powerful reminder that our decisions should be driven by reason and logic, rather than emotions and past investments. By being more mindful of our motivations and evaluating our choices based on future potential, we can break free from the trap of sunk costs and make more informed, rational decisions. So, have you ever found yourself trapped by the sunk cost fallacy? Share your experiences with me in the comments below, and if you're interested in learning more about decision-making strategies, be sure to check out my next video.